Hello students, we are talking about assignment of the last class. So I am giving you the answers for the assignment. The first one is name three domains. Name three domains. So answer for this is the three domains are, the first one is Archaea, or it is called as Archaebacteriae. The second one is Eubacteria, and the third one is Eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are eukaryotic organisms. So we will go for the second question. The second question is, who proposed four kingdom classification? So four kingdom classification was proposed by Copeland. Four kingdom classification was proposed by Copeland. Now we go for the next question. Five kingdom classification. So the five kingdom classification is proposed by, it is R.H. Whitaker, or it is called Robert H. Whitaker, has classified five kingdom classification. Robert H. Whitaker. Now we'll go for the next question. The next question is five kingdom classification. So in this five kingdom classification, we know that the first one is kingdom monera. The second one is kingdom protista, and the third one is kingdom mycota, and fourth one is kingdom plantae, and fifth kingdom is called as animae. So here this is called as five kingdom classification. Now we go for the next question. So we start with the next question. What is Archaea? So Archaea is nothing but ancient, primitive, prokaryotic cell. Ancient, primitive, prokaryotic cell that can live in any extreme environmental conditions. It can live in any extreme environmental conditions. The Archaea can be present. The Archaea do not have peptidoglycans. Peptidoglycans are absent. So as I mentioned here, there are three types. One is called as methanogens, present in lives in marshy areas. The second one is called thermoacidophils, present in hot springs, and the third one is called as halophytes, present in saline water or saline water. Next, we will go for the next question. So in the next question, explain the characters of monera. So characters of kingdom monera. So in a kingdom monera, all the living organisms are microscopic, prokaryotic, unicellular organisms. This is the first point. And next point, so we know that the kingdom monera, they may live solitary, colonial, or in filamentous form. Next, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Cell wall is made up of cellulose in the plant, but here the bacterial cell wall, the bacterial cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans, muramic acid, and proteins. So like this, the cell wall is composed. Next to the cell wall is plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is inwardly folded. Inwardly folded to form mesosomes, and this mesosomes helps in respiration. Mesosomes helps in respiration. Here, next point. All the cytoplasmic organelles are absent. They have 70S type of ribosomes occurs in a chain to form polysomes. The 70S type of ribosomes occurs in a chain to form polysomes, and this polysomes helps in protein synthesis. Next, here the reproduction is always asexual and sexual type of reproduction can be noticed. Next, so here sexual type of reproduction will be in the form of transformation, conjugation, transduction in bacteria. So all this point comes under kingdom monera. So go for the next question. The next question is classify the bacteria based on the shape of the bacteria. So we are going for classification of bacteria based on the shape. So we know that the spherical shape is called as cocci. The rod shaped bacteria is called as bacilli or bacillus. Spiral shaped bacteria is called as coil shaped is called as spirulum. Spherical shaped is cocci, rod shaped is called as bacilli, coiled one is called as spirula or spirulum, comma shaped is called as vibrio. So this is nothing but classification based on the shape. Next, based on mode of nutrition. Based on mode of nutrition in bacteria. So there are two types. There are two types. One is called as autotrophs. In autotrophs, I mentioned about photosynthetic bacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria. Photosynthetic bacteria, chemosynthetic bacteria. Next, in heterotrophs, there are two types. One is called as parasitic and the other one is called as saprophytic. So this is about mode of nutrition. Now we'll go for the next one. Uses of bacteria, significance of bacteria. So significance of bacteria, so we know that there is a presence of, it helps in formation of curds. It helps in the formation of curds. Here milk is converted to curds in the presence of lactobacilli. So this is one, and bacteria is also helps in the preparation of antibiotics. Preparation of antibiotics, and it is also used in nitrogen fixation. Bacteria helps in nitrogen fixation. So here rhizobium bacteria helps in nitrogen fixation. It is present in the root nodules. So we start by the next one is the structure of nostoc. So we know that nostoc is also called as blue-green algae. So nostoc has cells arranged one after the other. When a cells arranged one after the other is called as trichome. When a trichome is covered by a mucilaginous sheet, we use the word filament. So hence nostoc is called as filamentous algae. So in the nostoc there are the presence of vegetative cells are being present. In the vegetative cells at the center there is a presence of granular DNA, and this is called as centroplasm. The centroplasm is also called as incipient DNA. Now at the margins of a vegetative cell, periphery of a vegetative cells, there is a presence of chromoplasm. Chromoplasm, here there is a colored pigments are being present. The blue pigment present in the nostoc is called as phycocyanin. It is called as phycocyanin, and the red pigment called as phycoerythrin. Phycoerythrin, and there is a presence of a green pigment, and the green pigment is called as chlorophyll. So like this, in the presence of blue, red and green pigment, the nostoc undergoes photosynthesis. Now we will go for the next one. Here, the reserve food is stored in a separate cells, and this separate cell is called as aconite. It is stored in a separate cell. Aconites are also called as resting spores. So this helps in storage. Aconites are nothing but reserve food is stored here. They also help in reproduction. Next one. In the nostoc filament, there are here and there empty looking cells are being present called as heterocysts. Helps in, we know that heterocysts are of two types. One is called as intercalary heterocyst. The intercalary heterocyst is present in between the filament with two shining granules or polar nodules. The second one is called as terminal heterocyst. Terminal heterocyst is always present at the tip or at the ends and has only one shining granule or polar granules. Next one. The heterocyst helps in reproduction as well as it also helps in nitrogen fixation. So heterocyst helps in nitrogen fixation. So this is about the assignment work. So let's start with the next one. So with the last I mentioned about kingdom monera general characters. Now we are stepping to the next one called as kingdom protista. So in this kingdom protista, the organisms coming under this are always called as unicellular. The meaning of unicellular, they are single cell organisms. They are microscopic. They are microscopic. Meaning of this, they can be seen only under microscope. Hence it is called as microscope. They cannot be seen to the naked eye, seen only under the microscope. Next, eukaryotes. They are called as eukaryotic organisms. So here there is a presence of well-developed cytoplasmic organelles with well-developed nucleus is being present. Next, we go for the other one. The organisms coming under kingdom protista are solitary. Meaning of solitary, they always occur singly. Or colonial. The meaning of colonial, they always occurs in the form of colonies, or it may be in the form of filamentous. It is called as filamentous form also. They may exist. So they are present in the filaments. Next. As I mentioned, it is a eukaryotes. Here there is a well-developed nucleus is present. The meaning of well-developed nucleus, the nucleus has four components: nuclear membrane, nucleoplasm, nucleolide, chromatin network. All the four components are present in the nucleus. Hence, it is called as true nucleus or well-developed nucleus with all the cytoplasmic organelles. With all the cytoplasmic organelles present in the cell. Cytoplasmic organelles may be in the form of mitochondria, Golgi body, cytoplasmic, reticulum blinders. All the cytoplasmic organelles are present. Now, we will go for the next one. Kingdom protista has autotrophs, or the organisms coming under this are called as autotrophs. The meaning of autotrophs, they can prepare their own food. So here the example is called as algae. Same in kingdom protista, even heterotrophs are also being present. Heterotrophs. So autotrophs, example algae, whereas heterotrophs, we use the word they cannot prepare their own food, but they depend upon the other for the food. So here protozoans will come under this. So here autotrophs are also there, heterotrophs are also there. Now you go for the next point. The locomotory organs. The locomotory organs. So the movement, the locomotory organs will be in the form of cilia, flagella, or we use the word pseudopodia comes under amoeba. But here there is a presence of pseudopodia is also called as falsehood. So these are called as the locomotory organs present under kingdom protista. Now we'll start with the next word, the reserve food. The reserve food present in the organisms coming under kingdom protista will be in the form of volatile granules, oil, droplets and fats. So here the reserve food materials will be in the form of volatile granules, oil droplets and fats are called as the reserve food materials present in the kingdom protista. Now we go for reproduction. So the reproduction present in the kingdom protista, the reproduction is always in the form of asexual type as well as sexual type of reproductions can be noticed. So here, as I mentioned here, asexual is nothing but uniparental reproductions. Sexual means biparental. Two parents help in sexual reproduction. Here there is a formation of cell division is also present, or we use the word zygote formation. Cell division, cell fusions and zygote formations, all these are been present in the kingdom protista. So these are called as general characters. I'll repeat this: unicellular, microscopic, eukaryotes. Either it may be solitary, colonial or filamentous. Well developed nucleus is present with all the cytoplasmic organelles, and here they help in preparing their own food. So they are called as phototrophs, example algae, and the organisms which cannot prepare their own food. The organisms which cannot prepare are called as heterotrophs, example protozoans, and the locomotory organs will be in the form of cilia, flagella or pseudopodia. Next, the reserve food materials will be in the form of volatile granules, oil droplets, fats, and the reproduction is by uniparental called as asexual, biparental or two-parental called as sexual. Reproduction, here it may be in the form of cell fusion and zygote formation. The examples coming under this are called as algae and protozoans, comes under the kingdom protista. We will go for the next one. So we will go for the next one. 5 kingdoms of kingdom or 5 divisions of kingdom protista. Kingdom protista has 5 divisions. We will see one after the other. The first division is called as chrysophyta. Chrysophyta is also called as blue-green algae. So in this, the organisms coming under this, they are called as free-floating. They are called as free-floating microscopic organisms are being present. Microscopic organisms. So here, the organisms coming under chrysophyta, they are called as free-floating microscopic organisms. I repeat this: the free-floating microscopic organisms are called as planktons. Free-floating microscopic organisms are called as planktons. These planktons can prepare their own food. Prepare their own food. Hence, this is called as phytoplanktons. I repeat this: free-floating microscopic organisms are called as planktons, which can prepare their own food in the presence of sunlight. They are called as phytoplanktons. So, the blue-green algae is one called as phytoplanktons. These are present both in fresh water as well as it is also present in the marine water. So we are going for the examples coming under this is called as diatoms and desmids. These are called as examples. Now we second few points regarding diatoms. Diatoms and the descriptions of the examples. We'll start by few points regarding diatoms. Here the word diatoms itself indicates the plant body is made up of two halves. Two sides or two halves have been present, hence it is called as diatoms. So I'll repeat this. Here the organism or plant is made up of two halves. Each half is called as theca. So each half is called as theca, and here because of two halves it is called as diatoms. Now here the diatoms has a presence of cell wall. The diatoms has a presence of cell wall, and this cell wall is made up of cellulose. And this cellulose, along with cellulose, there is a presence of silica deposition. This is an important character in diatoms. The cellulose, along with the cellulose, there is a presence of silica depositions. So here, when diatoms are dead, they go unsettled in the water. At the bottom, they go unsettled for billions of years and helps in the formation of fossilization. Hence, it is also called as diatomaceous earth. It is also called as diatomaceous earth. I repeat this. When the diatoms are dead, they go and settle at the bottom for billions of years, and they convert into the fossilization or help in the formation of fossilization because of silica deposition. Hence, they are called as diatomaceous earth, or they are also called as jewels or jewelries of plant kingdom. They are also called as jewelries of plant kingdom or jewels of plant kingdom because of silica deposition in the cell wall. Now, we go for the plant body. The plant body of a diatoms. The plant body of diatoms is called as fristule. Is called as fristule. The plant body of diatoms is called as fristule. And here there are two types of diatoms. Two types of diatoms are there. One is called as pinnate diatoms, and the other one is called as centric diatoms. Pinnate diatoms and centric diatoms. In a pinnate diatoms, they look like a soap box, elongated. They are elongated, look like a soap box, and here they are centric diatoms are nothing but they are circular. They are circular in shape. It looks like a tiffin box, a small tiffin box in structure. It is called as centric. Here it may be a soap box or like a geometry box. This will appear. So in the diatoms there are two words. One called as the bigger half. The diatoms is made up of two halves. One, the bigger half is called as epitheca. The bigger half is called as epitheca. The smaller half is called as hypotheca. Both the halves are connected by the girdle. Here, both the halves are connected by girdle. Here, inside this, there is a presence of well-developed nucleus of being present. Along with this, there has a presence of plasmids. This plasmids contains chromatophores. This chromatophores has a presence of pigments. This chromatophores has a presence of a pigments called as chlorophyll, has a presence of carotenoids and xanthophyll. Carotenoids and xanthophyll are being present in this carotenoids. Whereas in a centric diatoms, always there are two. One, the smaller one is called as hypotheca, the bigger one is called as epitheca. Both are fixed by the girdle. So like this, there are few words regarding diatoms. We go for the next division. So we start with the next one called as pyrrophyta. So in this pyrrophyta, they are also called as dinoflagellates. So here, dinoflagellates means there are two flagellas are there. I'll explain this. Pyrrophyta comes under marine forms. Here, the organisms will be present in the marine form and they can prepare their own food. So they are also called as synthetic form. Photosynthetic forms. They can prepare their own food, hence they are called as photosynthetic. And they have different types of colors. They appear yellow color, brown color, green color, etc. They have a different pigments. So here, red, brown, green, blue, all these types of pigments have been present in the dinoflagellates. Next, the cell wall is made up of cellulose plates. There is a presence of cellulose plates present or stuffed. The cell wall is stuffed with cellulose plates have been present. They are placed on the upper surface, placed on the outer surface of a cell wall. So, the cell wall is made up of cellulose plates present on the outer surface. Next, there is a present dinoflagellates has two flagellates. Here, two flagellas are being present. One flagella is always present in the longitudinally arranged or longitudinal side. The other one is present in the transverse. Transverse side, there is a presence of one flagella and the other one is present in the longitudinal side. Now, some of the dinoflagellates emit light. So dinoflagellate, they emit light. This phenomena is called as bioluminescence. The animals which emit light are called as bioluminescence. So this is nothing but the animals which emit light. Now, some of the pyrrophyta or dinoflagellates, they produce large toxic compounds. They produce large species of dinoflagellates produces toxic compounds or toxic substances are being produced. These toxic substances enters into the water and they kill microbes or microorganisms, or we use the word aquatic organisms. I repeat this. The large dinoflagellates, they release the toxins. They produce toxic compounds and release in the water. So this kills the aquatic animals, even fish, frog or other animals have been killed. So this is about what? So we go for the examples. So kingdom Protista dinoflagellates examples. Pyrophosphate or Pyrrophyta examples are, one of this is called as red dinoflagellates. So it is called as Gorolax. The second one is called as Sertinium. The third one is called as Noctiluca. All these are the examples of dinoflagellates. So in the sea, we can see there is a presence of red tides, and this red tides is due to the red dinoflagellates, Gorolax and Noctiluca. These two helps in the formation of sea to have red tides. So we go for the next division called as euglenophyta or euglenoids. So the organisms coming under this are called as unicellular, microscopic, freshwater protozoans. Protista, freshwater protista. So here unicellular, freshwater protista comes under euglenoids. But here the important point, they do not have cell wall. Cell wall is absent. Here, the outermost layer of the cell is called as cell membrane, and this cell membrane is called as pellicle. Here, we never use the word cell wall is absent, but there is a presence of the cell membrane, and this cell membrane is called as pellicle, and it contains eye spot. There is a presence of a sensitive eye spot is present in the euglenoids, or in euglena there is a presence of eye spot. Next, there is a presence of long whip-like structure. Long whip-like structure has a locomotory organ called flagella. Here there is a long whip-like structure as a locomotory organ, and they are called as flagellas. Next, this also euglenoids is called as a connecting link between. It is called as a connecting link between plant and animal. Plant and animal, because we know that the euglena has a presence of a green pigment called as chlorophyll. It can prepare its own food. Hence it is considered as a plant. Because of a locomotion with the help of flagella, this is considered as an animal. So here it has both the characters like food preparation as well as flagella. So euglena is a connecting link between plant and animals. As I mentioned, it can prepare its own food in the presence of sunlight, so it is called as photosynthetic in nature. And other important character, the plant cell wall is absent. Here in euglena, plant cell wall is absent. So it is usually plant cell wall is absent, hence it is considered as animal. Plant cell wall is absent, considered as animal, and it has a chlorophyll prepares its own food, hence it is also called as a connecting link between plant and animal. Example for this is euglena. Example coming under this is called as euglena. We'll go for the next one. So we'll go for the next division called as mixophyta or slime molds. So here the plants coming under this, they are called as saprophytic. They are called as saprophytic protista. Here the meaning of saprophytic, they are present on the dead and decay. Here the slime molds grow on the dead and decay, and they keep on moving along with the dead parts. For example, twigs, leaves. On that dead and decay, the slime molds keep on moving on it and keep on engulfing organic matter from the dead parts. Dead parts keep on engulfing, hence it is called as saprophytic fungi. Next, the aggregations together forms a plasmodium. I'll repeat this. Here they aggregate, the slime molds aggregates to form a plasmodium. So the aggregated forms are called as plasmodiums. So this grows together. So they aggregated together to form or to grow over feet together. Several feet together, they have keep on growing. Feet, several feet. Here, as I said, keep on aggregating to form a feet together. Next, during unfavorable conditions, the slime molds or plasmodium produces a fruiting body. I'll repeat this. During unfavorable conditions, they produces fruiting bodies, aggregates together to produce fruiting bodies with spores. Fruiting body with spores are being present, and this spores has a presence of thick wall. The spore is present and the spore is covered with a thick wall. The spore is covered with thick wall and they can survive. They can survive for years together. So years together they can survive. The spores has thick wall and they can survive for years together because of a thick wall, and these spores are dispersed in the presence of air current. In the presence of air current, it is being dispersed. The example for this is it is called as stelmonates. Stelmonates are called as examples of slime molds. So we go for the next division under kingdom protista is protozoans. So we know that all the protozoans are microscopic. So the meaning of microscopic, they can see only under the microscope and they are unicellular. The meaning of unicellular, it is made up of single cell and they are heterotrophs. Heterotrophs. The meaning of heterotroph, they depend upon other for the food, and this has four major groups. So we are going to see one after the other. Four major groups. The first one coming under this is called as amoeboids. Amoeboids. Amoeboid protozoans or amoeboids are also called as rhizopoda. Here, amoeboid protozoans, amoeboids or amoeboid protozoans are also called as rhizopoda. So this is a freshwater protozoans. It is also present in sea, but both freshwater and marine there is a presence of amoeboids are being present. Next, they are free living. They can capture their own food in the presence of a false food. So false food is present, has a locomotory organ as well as for the capturing of food. So the false food is called as pseudopodia. So here, in a rhizopoda or amoeboid protozoans, the locomotory organs are always called as pseudopodia. So the pseudopodia is called as false food. Example, when we take amoeba. Amoeba do not have a definite shape. We use the word irregular shaped organisms. It is called as amoeba. So once the food is present, once the food is there, the amoeba moves towards the food and produces pseudopodia. They extend the pseudopodia on both the sides. As it keep on extending the pseudopodias on both the sides, they touch and the inner wall is dissolved. Like this, they engulf the prey. They engulf the prey as well as this pseudopodias helps in the movement. So as I mentioned earlier, it can produce the pseudopodia all over the organism, all over the body. It can produce the pseudopodia. Hence, it do not have a definite shape. So it is called as irregular in shape or do not have a definite shape. So we go for the next one. So we go for the second one called as flagellata. Flagellates or flagellate protozoans. Again, the organisms coming under this are called as microscopic unicellular organisms, and it has a presence of both freshwater forms are also being present, and there is a presence of the protozoans which are parasitic. There is a presence of freshwater forms also there. Along with that, there is a presence of parasitic forms. The meaning of parasitic. So, these organisms depend upon the other for the food, or they depend upon other living organisms. So, they are called as parasitic forms. Here, The organisms has a locomotory organs called as flagella. Here, the locomotory organ present under this are called as flagella, and this causes a disease called African sleeping sickness. It causes African sleeping sickness. By an example, or the name of this organism is called as trypanosome. Trypanosoma causes African sleeping sickness. This sleeping sickness has an incubation period, has more than, or we say nearly 20 years. It has an incubation period. The word incubation period, they enter into an organism, settle, and causes symptoms. So that period is always called as incubation period. So flagellata, the example is trypanosoma. So this is about sleeping sickness. We'll go for the next one. So we'll go for the next one is ciliata or ciliated protozoans. Again, here they are microscopic, unicellular and heterotrophic. So here there is a presence of the locomotory organs is in the form of cilia. So locomotory organs is in the form of cilia, and example for this is called as paramecium. The example is called as paramecium. This paramecium is also called as slipper animalcule because it is in the shape of a slipper shape. It has a presence of a shape is called as slipper shape, and there is a presence of cilia all over the body. Hence it comes under ciliata. There is a presence of cilia all over the body, and there is two types of nucleus. One is a macronucleus and micronucleus, and there is a presence of a mouth called as cytophage, and there is a presence of contractile vacuoles. Contractile vacuoles are being present, and this contractile vacuoles helps in osmoregulation. So this is paramecium. So they move in the presence of cilia. We'll go for the last one. So we'll go for the next fourth group called as Protozoan. So this is Protozoa again. They are unicellular, microscopic organisms. Here the organisms are single cell, microscopic. The important character here, they are called as endoparasites. As I mentioned, parasites depends upon other living organisms. Here we use the word endoparasite. It is present inside the other host, or inside the host they are present. Hence it is called as endoparasites. Here the important character of Protozoa, here no locomotory organs. So here the locomotory organs, the movement. So the locomotory organs are totally absent, or no locomotory organs. Hence it is called as Protozoa. Example for this is called as Plasmodium. So this Plasmodium, which causes a disease called as malaria. So the malaria disease is caused by Plasmodium, and this is spread by a female Anopheles mosquito. It spreads, but here the lifespan of a malaria Plasmodium we are going to discuss later on. So this again called as Plasmodium comes under Protozoa.